the writer would need to know the exact appropriate word to apply so that it can include everything.
I would suggest not necessarily in that sense.
Please tell me why.
So to make it even easier, he could have just said, I clothed asunder. I clothed the heavens asunder without the earth, as an example, because obviously the earth is part of the heavens. If we go to the godly view, would you agree or not agree?
No.
Is the earth not part of the heavens?
You see, if the Creator, as an example, because we've introduced, let's keep him aside. If the statement says the heavens and the earth were joined together, yeah, we have started there. Now we are saying, okay, let's see if we can regurgitate the statement and come up with something better.
Sure, okay, you use that word.
Okay, so you are telling me, well,
because you were originally saying, how do we make it, is that statement, the broad statement, that obviously alludes to a creator?
No, I said to you that if you are saying you are accepting that broadly speaking, I'm saying, well, what you are really saying to me is that the statement, the way it is worded, is actually giving it that possibility 500 years down the line, if a new discovery is made about the universe, it will fit. Now, we
but
are
also
saying
possibly it might not.
Agreed.
So
agreed.
Speculating.
No. I agree with you. No. But I'm only going on what you said. That if the word broadly is used, so then I said to you, okay, Rob, let's see, how better can we have that verse put?
Okay, so from my point of view, because that's all I can do, I can't do yours.
Of course.
The more accurate the verse, the more likely it is I am to look at it and consider it more seriously. The more broad the verse, the less likely I am to consider that, because I've only got living today in 2016 and whatever happens, so I can only evaluate things on what we currently know. I can't do anything else.
Of course, that's understandable and logical.
When I look at the book, I go, that's a relatively broad statement, broad-ish. It could be more broad, it could certainly be more specific. And so just from my point of view as a disbeliever, non-believer, I'm going, that's a reasonably broad statement. It's not, it could be closer, as I've alluded to, and you have countered that by saying, but no, it is reasonably accurate, and it can be more accurate in the future. And I've said, yes, it could be more accurate or proven or not be.
Agreed.
So I'm just going from my point of view. So it goes back really to the very beginning of going, hey, there's these verses here. I just, as a non-believer, which is all I can talk about, it feels that you're on better ground, and if I were to evaluate it, I'm much more likely to evaluate it as just a statement rather than trying to pin it down to being as accurate as we can be today, because that's where I would have the thing. So I'm happy with that.
Agreed. Now, the way I'm looking at this, Rob, is this, that when I look at the statements, I'm not only looking at them per se, I'm trying to understand what the intent was of those statements. So, for example, when I see, while we are on the subject matter, I'm just introducing it.
Go ahead.
Where I see a statement which says, okay, a group of people were put to sleep for a period of hundreds of years, okay? I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what is this trying to say to me? What is that verse trying to establish for me, okay? And I will start inquiring, I want to know what it is trying to say. Yes? Now, what happens there is that when I'm looking at the statement, I don't look at it and say, oh, this is a scientific statement, hurrah. I don't look at it that way. I'm looking at information as knowledge. The word science has been hijacked, as I'm saying, okay? Because it automatically has restricted a lot of other learning simply because there is a method which they will employ. And if nothing fits within that method, it is not taken seriously, which is unfortunately a flaw. Okay? But having said that, the way I look at it, when I see a statement, I want to know what the import is of that statement. And if I come across something that is contained in the Qur'an, which may be of benefit, which it is, guaranteed not may, which is of benefit to humanity once the information has been extracted. Because there's an interesting turn on language here that I will just discuss with you for a few seconds. You see, the word ayah, A-Y-A-H, is used, okay? For every ayah of the Quran, we call it in English verses, statements, call it what you want. But the word ayah actually means a sign, to something.
Okay.
See, you know how you have a signboard. Now, when it is talking about a certain aspect, it is giving you a sign towards what the reality is of that particular subject matter. Yes? I would humbly submit to you. Because if it is, then it encourages me to do further study to establish whether the signboard has taken me where I need to go. Okay? So, for example, just using this verse, I am told that the heavens and the earth were joined together and we clothed them asunder. Okay? And then I am told about the steady state theory. Yeah? That the universe has always existed. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, wait a minute, it's not fitting with this. The model is talking about the steady state. Yes? The ayah here is talking about something which was together and then when? There must have been a beginning. I'm theorizing. Okay? Now, as soon as I come across a certain body of facts, should I bother for another 100 years or whatever my lifetime is to try and prove the steady state? I would suggest no. The sign is taking me somewhere else. I'm following the sign. Now, do you want to call it belief? Do you want to call it a fact that has been established and now you need the details? All, you know, the bones, yeah? We've got it there. We want to follow it through, yeah? So when I am looking at a statement in the Quran, I see it as a statement of fact. If it is a benefit to humanity from an unbeliever's perspective, it shouldn't be a problem. But I know that every statement that is in a book can be assessed, can be critically evaluated. We know that in this country or any other country, when the legal writers are framing the statutes, they have to be very, very careful about what word they employ where. Why?
So that it's not misinterpreted.
But for us, that can only happen once it has been established by the writers. They have conceivably looked at every possible scenario of weakness in the statute that they are drafting, and then they give it out. And guess what happens? The lawyers are just waiting for it to come, and then they start looking at the holes. Yeah, in a loose manner of speaking. But the point is, any accurate representation of certain phenomena, we have to consider why it has been put the way it has. And I would suggest that anyone who tells me, look, I think the statement could have been better, I say no problem. But for you to be able to say that, yeah, even on the short amount of facts that we do possess, the small amount, yeah, I would then have to turn around and say, well, look, if there is a creator and the creator has given information, then it is in totality. And for us to be able to counter some statement, we would need to know in totality, whatever that is, about the subject matter before we can confidently assert that the statement could or can be improved.
Okay, but that's not how we live our lives. Even if I accepted your premise, that's not how we live, though, is it? Because we don't live our lives trying to get to the totality of anything in order to make a decision or in order to evaluate things, do we?
Interestingly enough, I was reading Sam Harris's book on spirituality without religion.
Yes, waking up.
Waking up. In there, he says, we don't have enough time to be able to find X, Y, and Z. To me, that was an interesting statement by Sam Harris. Are you suggesting that the majority of your life you are going to live by what you would call faith?
But no non-believer uses that word, so you...
Of course not. And he points it out. He says, well, there is no other word to use but possibly faith. Yeah? And
I would use a different word, but okay.
But I'm just going on what he said.
Sure.
Yeah? But then he goes and he says, well, no, let's look at what in effect he's saying, don't miss the glory by thinking about things that are irrelevant. But the interesting point that he made there was when he says, one lifetime isn't enough to find everything out.
Of course, we all know that.
I'm thinking, is this the same Sam Harris who wrote The End of Faith? It is, and he actually mentions it. He says, I may have said something, yes, and today I may have to take it back.
Does he?
I'm talking about what he said.
Yes, yeah. But does he say
In
that?
effect, that is what he is saying.
Okay, I'll look
Because
that
I'll
up on
tell
the blog.
you, please do. Yeah, because he is saying spirituality. He said there is no other word but to use the word spirituality. Now, stop there.
He does say, though, that it adds a lot of baggage with it.
He does. He says that.
Yeah.
But here's the point. Is spirituality a scientific inquiry?
Is the term a scientific inquiry? Or can
No,
we,
let's use the word spirituality the way we commonly understand it.
What is that?
Is it a scientific inquiry? Something that is not testable.
So are you saying that spirituality isn't testable?
It isn't.
Okay, what do you mean
Is
by
it-
spirituality?
there you are. We all will have different interpretations,
Correct.
but I will tell you what it is. Spirituality is something associated to a being, yeah, not a human, not something that is verifiable, something that you can consider to be esoteric or metaphysical.
Sure.
Okay. But then now this is going flip side from his stance before. That, look, science is verifiable. There is, in fact, he himself said, there is a scientific basis for morality.
Yes, yes.
Now he has written a book in which he's saying, you can have spirituality without religion. Now, the interesting point, as I said, was when he said in the book, there isn't enough in one lifetime. And that rang bells in my head. I'm thinking, Mr. Harris here is conceding to the very notion that he has fought all these years, that we have to live our lives predominantly by faith. The word may not be used, but in effect, that is what is being said. So I turn it on its head and I say, wait a minute, if that is the case, as you rightly pointed out, do we have enough time in a lifetime to be able to discover absolutely everything? But what we can do is look at the certain things that we can study and critically analyze them against what is making a claim, whether it be the Bible, the Qur'an, or Professor Roger Penrose's book.
Correct.
It doesn't make a difference. We owe it to ourselves to be able to establish it. The problem we are facing, honestly, is the majority of my atheist friends, yes, will instantly exclude anything to do with certain buzzwords, one of them being spirituality. Oh, you're delusional.
Really?
Oh,
They say that?
No, of course.
Oh, okay.
And if you want what I'm saying, just go on any one of these YouTube atheist videos. The kind of crass language that they use about religionists is unbecoming of a human being, but I can understand. Because it is like letting go and saying, I'm game for anything and everything because I don't have any kind of rules. This is my perspective, by the way.
Okay.
But having said that, my atheist friends will automatically, as soon as you say, okay, I tell you what, let's consider metaphysics. No, I'm sorry. Is it verifiable? Is it testable? Is it falsifiable? Well, now when Sam Harris is talking about spirituality, it's throwing a spin to this, and I can understand why he is saying it. Because he has done what most human beings should do. He studied matters. He looked into them to establish whether his perspective is entirely correct or not. And he is man enough to admit, many years ago he may have said X, but now he's saying Y. The view...
Okay, we've got this on video. Give me, if you've read it, give me, you don't have to say it for word, but give me what the crux of that part of it, because I've not heard that said in the sense of like he's now, to use my words, to paraphrase what you say, he's changed his mind.
Absolutely. I'm just talking about the word spirituality and the way he's applied it in the book. Many years ago, he would not touch anything to do with religion because at that time religion was
but spirituality and
if
religion
I can just say, they were associated with religion. And that's the point he was trying to make. The fact is, the bottom line is, no matter what you say about spirituality, for as long as it is not a verifiable science, no way are you going to be able to divorce it from what we call religion. I do not subscribe to the word religion. I said that to you the first time we met.
Yeah.
But the point is that there is an emphasis here being made by him. Whatever he is saying in the book, he goes on to explain why he's taking this position. The point is, he has taken that position now. Why? As he rightly pointed out, and you said it, there is excess baggage that goes with it. Yeah? But he wants the reader to see whether his perspective is at least he thinks is the correct one. The point is not that. The point is what I said earlier on. Is it a verifiable science? No. If it isn't a verifiable science, an avowed atheist like Mr. Harris, yes, is now touching on aspects which he himself many moons ago had said he would not touch, not in specific words. But if you read The End of Faith,
yes, I've read it.
In everything he says, he's blaming what I would call religion. He talked about the Nazis in Germany, and what did he say? In the final statement, in the final sentence, he says you can somehow relate it to religion. And I'm thinking, well, I can understand, because when you have a bias, that is all you want to keep bringing up to justify your position. But right and true to the guy he is, he's written a book in which he is talking about something which is not verifiable scientifically. There is an emphasis, there is a shift. But the point that we have to address, Rob, is that, as you rightly pointed out, if we don't have enough in one lifetime, at least there are certain subject matter which we can address and use in our lifetime, or practically use our lives to establish the truth of an assertion.
Okay. Where should we go with that?
Home.
You hypnotized me, you talk so
I'm
long.
sorry,
and I let you know, but that's okay. It's all fine.
Yeah.
I've read most of his stuff, and I've read Waking Up and so forth, and I'm not sure that's an accurate representation of what he says, or
between pages 23 and 27.
No, hang on a sec, before we get there.
I'm just telling you where it is.
Okay.
Yeah, in Waking Up.
You've memorized, and that's about spirituality, yes?
Yeah, okay. Because that's what he talks about in Waking Up.
So your claim is that he's changed his mind from being a devout atheist. By the way...
No, I didn't say that. I'll say it again.
Okay.
I said an avowed atheist is leaning on something, spirituality, which is not scientifically verifiable. That is a major shift for him.
But what is the Waking Up book actually about?
How, according to him, you can have spirituality without religion.
But that's not the crux of the book. That's like the byline, the tagline. What is he actually talking about in the book?
I just told you.
The spirituality is a word he uses to differentiate between religion and another practice.
No, not only that, he also talks about how when he was age 16, he went into, at the start of the book.
That's right.
When he talks about that, he then follows it up and he says, look, I'm going to be able to show how we can possibly do what we call spirituality, or practice it, yes, without the need for religion.
And what is that spirituality he talks about? What does it encompass in his view?
No. What he is talking about is, look, from what I have gathered, he says, religion, leave aside, many people have talked about spirituality in a particular way. Some of it has aspects to truth, What he is establishing, according to what I am reading, is that I am sat here, I want that peace that a lot of other people have connected to.
Yes.
And this is the basis for which I think you can achieve it.
And what is the basis he talks about? He talks about practical things that you can do in this world in order to attempt to get to that peace, correct? Because he couldn't be talking about something else.
No. What are you saying he is saying? Because as far as I can read, my rendering is simple. He is touching on spirituality in whatever manifestation he has brought. The fact is, he's talking about spirituality, and it is not a verifiable science. That's the point I'm making.
Okay.
What is yours?
Okay, so my point is he's using the label spirituality because it's what people understand as a word to use that is non-religious. He then goes on to talk about how you can meditate and you can do various things that can improve your life. Those are the parts that he kind of labels as spirituality.
I'm so glad you touched on that. The things he said to do.
Yes.
Were they already being done?
By him or other people?
No, by other people.
Sure, yes.
When he talked about the Vedics from the Far East.
Yes.
Okay. Is that in religion?
In what religion?
Whichever it is he pointed to.
Is the practice they're talking about in the religion?
Yeah.
I'm not an expert, possibly. I don't know. You tell me. Maybe you know more.
Well, yes, it is. But the problem here is this, and I don't have an issue with it. I'm glad he's taken the shift. Okay? He is referring to certain things which were already there. Yet in the same breath you are saying it is divorced from the word religion. How is that possible?
Because can you not take certain things from different religions, take them, make something new from it and give it a label. So we
Right.
take the best
Excellent.
of
Yes.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
We now call it ABC.
Now, I would humbly suggest to you that if, as an individual, I was logically addressing something, I would come to the conclusion that for you to take the best of everything, again, we come back to that issue I talked about.
Go ahead.
How are you going to know it is the best of what ought to be the best?
With the best information we have currently.
Best information.
But is that-
agree.
can-
agree. I
you
agree with
agree? Okay.
I agree with you. Best information we have.
Correct.
Now, for us to be able to be very, very good human beings, I would submit, we would need the necessary information which we will be able to use, and it will be of benefit to us and to the whole of humanity.
Agreed.
Okay. But that will necessarily mean, and logically, it will mean that you can't only have your life in a spiritual manner.
Depends what you mean by spiritual, but
There
probably
we are.
agree.
We are back to it. Okay? Because the definition.
what's the point? Sorry.
Interestingly, basically, the information that I would need as a human being would take into consideration every aspect that my life is associated with. And that would necessarily mean social, scientific, legal. Now, do you think spirituality can give you that? According to what we understand the word conventionally
Can it do
to
it?
mean?
No, it's not
It
going to be
can't.
able to do all
It
of that.
can't.
It's an
So-
aspect, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that would necessarily mean that aspect is for certain individuals who are seeking it. That aspect is not going to be able to give you definitive rules on how to engage between two individuals if a disagreement takes place.
Sure.
Me and this brother here, pardon me to use you as an example, me and this brother can say, we are disagreeing over the money that he has paid me or I paid him.
Yes.
Okay, you know what, let's sit down and let's meditate and hope that it will disappear and the answer will come. It won't work. We know, practically speaking, we have got courts of law because every day thousands of people disagree over matters and they are taken
I'm
in.
not sure you can say that as an absolute.
No, I'm not saying it as an
Okay.
absolute.
It could
But-
be that the two of you could meditate and one of you could go, do you know what, I've got a sign or I've now felt differently, whatever
Brilliant.
the case is. It could
Brilliant.
be, but I agree that it's not in totality an answer for
I
everything.
agree with you. Now, if I were to take your logic forward and I said to you, okay, this aspect here may give you the answer. This aspect is certain. Which one would you follow?
The certainty.
Why?
Because I'm much more likely to use that in the real world.
Can spirituality give you that?
Give me what?
That certainty?
Depends again what you mean by spirituality.
Let's
people
agree on
claim
a
it
definition
can.
first.
I don't.
Which person has
like the
claimed
word.
it can?
I don't like the word
No,
spirituality.
you said some people can. Which
Some people,
person do
so
you know?
like a Buddha, for example, or I know a person who cured themselves.
Buddha?
Hang on,
sorry.
hang on.
Yeah, sorry.
Spirituality in the
Oh, I see
because
what
we
you
need
mean.
to define
Exactly.
spirituality. Correct.
Yeah, sure.
But I know somebody, as in I've read their book, as an example, who cured themselves of cancer purely through what the label they give as spirituality.
Yeah.
All they did was meditate and eat the right things, and they cured themselves of a cancer about that big. In the world today, we would go, that's unusual. Most people don't cure themselves by meditating and eating good foods. Would you agree? That's not how most people go. So it
Nowadays,
depends what
yes,
you
I
mean by
agree with
spirit.
you.
I'm not sure we're going to get anywhere
No,
with
we
it.
won't, Rob. You're absolutely right. But just interestingly on the point you made, when this person, whoever you are talking about, meditated, ate, and cured themselves of cancer, yes?
Yes.
How would we view that from a scientific standpoint?
We'd have to investigate that and go,
Would we call them mad? Would we call them delusional? Would we call them, you've lost it, this is not how the world works?
no rational person would do that, no.
Why not?
Because we'd investigate what happened. A, did they have a cancer? B, now they don't. What is their claim for getting rid of it?
Yes.
Can we investigate that claim?
Absolutely.
Can we replicate that with other people who have cancer like them?
Yeah.
Does it work? So,
Now,
no, I wouldn't.
unfortunately, if we try to replicate it, it ain't going to work.
We don't know that.
We know that.
Well, how do we
Because
know
there are many instances where people have done that, but sadly they have died. But you are right. The point here is this. If there are aspects which we still do not know and we have to accede to them, then we have to also accept that there are many things which we are going to find out which may turn our understanding of the world. And in that, like I said, I respect Mr. Harris for it, because there is an emphasis here that he has made in terms of the word spirituality. Although he rightly points out he's not using it in a conventional way, but unfortunately he is relying on the very things which would constitute the word religion. So whether you want to play a nuanced game on this, fine. The fact is, or the bottom line as it were, it's in religion. Either you say, I wholesale reject it, or you say, well, look, I did reject it at one time, but now I'm putting my hand up and saying, look, there are certain aspects of it that are very positive for humanity. No problem. And all we would say is, excellent. Now just go a bit further and you'll come to it totally. So, that's how it works.
Yes. And you would, I suggest, vehemently disagree with you, but that's fine.
I agree with you, Rob, but I know from the books that I've read of Mr. Harris,
Yes.
sooner or later he will come to accept what is actually true.
Which is what?
Find out when he says it, you'll know.
He hasn't said it
Honestly,
yet,
he will.
Okay.
Because he's an honest inquirer. Okay, he comes out with some crass statements, but he's entitled to that. But he will come to the truth.
And what?
That I can
but we've got it
guarantee
on camera here, 2016. Give me a prediction. What truth do you think he'll come to?
Do I look like a prophet to you?
No, but you talked about it.
No.
You talked about he'll come to the truth.
What did I say?
He will come
He's
to.
a genuine inquirer.
Yes, and he'll come to the truth.
Absolutely. But
What is that truth?
I'll tell you what I mean by that.
Yes, go ahead.
He himself is doing the necessary inquiries.
Yes.
He has now engaged in what you would call metaphysical aspects. So he's coming slowly. Now, if
I don't
you tell
think he
me,
has. I think you misinterpreted that.
I'm merely
When
saying
you go
that. But what
metaphysical.
I'm saying to you, simply put, it will come. Now, if you ask me, okay, give me a time limit, I would say no, I wouldn't
not
do
a time
that.
limit. What is it? What do you mean it will come? What is it?
No.
What does it represent, the word it?
All the information that is needed to be able to arrive at what I would consider to be the truth.
Which is what?
Now, don't start me on that one, okay? We've already had an hour. But as far as Dr. Harris is concerned, he will arrive at it. That I can tell you. Now, whether he will pluck up the courage to write the book, that's another question which we'll have to ask, hopefully, in a few years down the line.
Okay, but you still haven't said what the truth is, though. Is he okay, so let me paraphrase it for you. Do you think he's going to become a Muslim?
And I'll tell you what. You see, when you use the word truth, we used it just now without even defining what we mean by
Yes,
truth.
I know. But you've said
So
he will come to it.
I would say he would come to the truth, and I did say that. He would come to the truth. Now, do you have a problem with me using the word truth the way it is understood between me and you?
No.
That's what I mean.
So my thing is, you said he will come to the truth. Rephrase that and be...
Why should I rephrase it?
Because what is the truth? Tell me what the truth is. So is the truth Islam? In other words, will Sam Harris convert to Islam?
I'll tell you.
Because that's a claim that we can now have on camera and we can go yes or no.
You see, Rob, I said the truth. Me and you now should define what truth is. What is it?
It is.
What is it?
So you're using a very metaphysical, not a metaphysical, very broad term, the truth. I think you will come to the truth.
I agree with you. Paul, Rob, sorry. But you are right, aren't you? Did you just say it's very broad? Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why is the term broad, the term truth?
Because it's a label to represent many things.
There you are. So in totality, what do we have?
What do you mean, what do we have?
Well, if you apply a word to all the information in totality, what would it be?
All the information, knowledge.
Knowledge. Use the word truth, what would that mean?
That which is comports with reality, in other words.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
And that's exactly what he will do.
Okay, so he's not there yet, presumably. Because you say he's going to come to it.
He's going to come to it.
Okay, so he's not there yet.
He's nearly there.
He's nearly there?
Yeah, nearly there. He's not there yet, according to my understanding.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So could you just give me one little bit of information that would help him get there? What is it that you suggest?
Are you Professor Harris?
No.
Dr. Harris? No, I'll give it to him.
Oh, that's a bit cheeky, though.
No, it's not.
You say he'll come to the truth, and I ask you for one little step that would help him, because I can send him. I can say, Dr. Harris.
Oh, you mean
I've got
it
somebody.
in that way? I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
All he needs to do is go further, study all the religions that he despises so much.
But hasn't he studied them already?
Not all to the totality that he needs to.
Okay.
He will.
You think he hasn't studied Islam or Christianity? What, enough?
No, I didn't say that. I said all of them. Yeah, now,
Why does he need to study all of them?
There you are again. You see, we are going from one question to another. That is why I said I'll deal directly with Mr. Harris. Is that okay?
Sure, brother.